Hello, lovebirds. Do you want to find eternal love but are tired of judging people by the way they look? Well, you've come to the right place. Love is Blind is back. Netflix's experiment that questions whether love is blind. The answer may shock you because sometimes it is. Most times, it's messy. And this season, we're going to Minnesota, so expect to hear a lot of this.
God, do you think so, Benji? Do you think you had a good date?
Have you tried the Hey Dudes?
Now, if you're not familiar with the show, the Lachey's, Netflix's devil worshippers, have created this little concoction of an experiment where a sleuth of single men and women are brought to the facilities and they date each other through a wall. Without ever seeing each other, they have to connect over the time period of 10 days, during which at any point they may or may not get engaged sight unseen. And then they move back into the real world, and for 3 weeks they test out their relationship in each other's presence. And at the end, they go to the altar and say yes or no. And if you think this is a terrible idea for a reality TV dating show, I'm right there with you. But every season is funny in its own way. And this year, we have it all. Love triangles, love squares, unspoken words, unaffirmed affirmations, giddy singles, and lots of chads. I hate country music chad, not all men chad, apolitical whatever chad, what's wrong with you, Chad? And I can't decide, Chad. The only thing this season doesn't have is an engagement by episode 1, which has become kind of a staple of the series, so buckle up, because there's a lot of shit that happens, and we need to talk about it, because it's funny. So first up, we have Joey and Monica. Joey has a really thick accent.
Oh, that is awesome.
And has been described as the golden retriever kind of guy. And Monica, I have nothing on her. She seems fun. They talk about how much they hate country music.
Like, the guys are like crying and the woman's like going to murder you.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're super boring. They get engaged in episode 2. They meet in episode 3 and, it's an instant connection. They do seem more like buddies, but I don't know. They're boring. There's also Devin and Virginia. They are, again, boring. The only thing I have is when Devin was dating another girl called Brittany. And she opens up about the fact that she's had experiences with women, sexual experiences, not necessarily a relationship. She says she can't envision herself having a wife, but she's had experiences and that helped shape who she is as a person. And his reaction is,
It's a lot for me to process because I think it's just because I've never been with someone that has been with the same sex.
But other than that, Brittany eventually ends things with Devin. He gets with Virginia. They get engaged. They meet. It's super cute. Again, another boring couple. And now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the juicy stuff because every other couple is a mess. First up, Sarah and Ben. Sarah's an oncology nurse. She loves men of every shape, especially dadbots. And Ben is the biggest Chad of this series. He's a Chad, but the chaddest of Chads that you could possibly chat. And first impressions, they would look great together. But their main point of conflict, if you could call it that, is that Ben is Christian, but he's not religious. He believes more in faith. It's kind of like the blasé Christian that is kind of religious, but not really, doesn't take himself too seriously, which should be the first clue for Sarah to run. But she doesn't. Instead, she explains how she's conflicted with religion because she has a lesbian sister. And as we know, the church is very welcoming of queer people. So welcoming.
No homos will ever be allowed on this church as long as I'm the pastor here.
I'm trying to tell you that God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve.
Any man who would have sex with a man would have sex with an animal.
Those who practice such things are deserving of death.
Now, to me, LGBT stands for let God burn them.
I don't care what the news media pushes and what the public school has to say. This Bible said marriage is between male and female.
And this conversation kind of kickstarts a bigger conversation about social values and what you believe is fair, not fair, and should happen. And it's wild. So first she mentions how a lot of times priests are hypocritical because they'll have a lot more allegations against them, but they turn to the LGBTQ plus community to shift the blame, shift the attention, and kind of get on with things. And Ben sort of agrees, and when she asks him if he would be comfortable around her sister, Didn't expect to hear this question in 2025, but maybe I've been very sheltered and I haven't really met any overtly homophobic people in my time. But she does ask him, and his response.
Yeah. No discomfort around that community at all.
I know he's saying it's all good, but it somehow feels homophobic, like no discomfort around that community at all.
I have, some of my closest friends are that way.
They're that way. It just feels derogatory. And I may be reading into it, probably not.
It's a tough conversation for sure.
I don't think it is, like, at all. I think it's pretty simple. But this conversation gives Sarah a bit of pause because now she's unsure of whether or not the man she is dating is a decent human being or if he would prioritize the rights of his own person over the rights of everybody else. Then they start talking about politics, and I think this is a conversation that we haven't seen a lot of in Love is Blind. I feel like it's a more recent development because in the earlier seasons, it was just all about love and overcoming personal trauma and how we connect with people. But now they're really getting to the juicy shit, right? What are your politics? Who did you vote for? What do you support in this country? And Ben's answer is expected.
Like, I didn't vote in the last election. Like, as long as I don't know, it's not gonna, do much, so.
Which is a complete opposite of Sarah, who woke up to politics when George Floyd was killed and Trump took office. She asks him how he feels about Black Lives Matter.
Like, I'm not one way or another. I just kind of keep out of it.
Not one way or... Sorry, this is probably the easiest answer ever. Hey, do you think that Black people deserve equal rights to white people? Yes. That's it. She's not asking you to lead protests and the next civil rights revolution. She's not asking you to be Rosa Parks. She's just asking for the bare minimum of understanding towards minorities and disenfranchised communities. But instead, he's just very blasé, very apolitical. Like, you know what? That doesn't affect me, so I shouldn't care about it.
That is so annoying.
Really think about it, because she really is just asking for the bare minimum. Like, do you think people should be equal to each other? You know what? I don't know, because we have to consider that I don't care because it doesn't affect me. My privilege is shielding me from having to take a stance on basic human decency. That's not good. Luckily, for now, Sarah does get some reassurance from Ben that they will be on the right side of things. They will agree on most things, which gives it a lot of leeway for him to disagree with her and be like, I'm trying to be reasonable, okay? Maybe Black people shouldn't vote. We have to think about it. Like, what's gonna affect me more? But they do get engaged and they meet, and I mean, these two look like the male and female version of each other. They fit well, and they have a good reaction to each other. Let's just hope they don't meet any Black people in the future, because...
Like, I'm not one way or another. I just kind of keep out of it.
That is so annoying.
Next up, we have David, Lauren, and Molly. And when I was watching this, I thought, okay, this is definitely going to be the emphasis of the video because this guy is awful. His entry line for women is, hey, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? So what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you here?
But it's not the juiciest one because, as it turns out, the slow burners burn brightest sometimes. So let's get into it. David is an ex-bad guy.
I just have kind of been an ass to women in my previous dating life.
He's shallow because he works in medical aesthetics. That doesn't sound like a red flag at all. He has a mean older sister with really high standards for her little brother, and he connects with Lauren and Molly, forming a cute little love triangle known for miscommunication.
I'm 32.
I'm 30.
Okay, so you're no longer attractive.
Lauren is looking for real love, so much so that I feel like she may be a little bit too eager to get married. And Molly...
I haven't had a serious boyfriend, to be honest.
Now, David is very self-aware of his shortcomings with women, as he lays out to everyone who's willing to listen.
I've been a very shallow person. Doing the right thing, like having integrity. I haven't always had that.
I've struggled so much with being so shallow and judging people by the way they look only, and I'm here to redeem myself. I'm here to reform my behaviors, and maybe you could have done that at home. Like, maybe you could date people at home, you're like, you know what? Let me not judge them by the way they look. Let me just keep talking and get to know people. But nope, it's the televised Love is Blind show that's going to fix your superficialness. He hears Molly saying, I like you taking charge of this conversation. He's like, oh, okay.
So you like when the man takes charge?
So you like men taking charge? You want to be my bitch? You want me to order you around? I know he doesn't say that, but it's like he said that, if you know men at all.
You learn about love and how to show love in your romantic relationships from how your parents loved you as a kid.
No, you learn about love by the way they loved each other. You don't want to give your partner the love they gave you, because that'll be a lot of stop doing that. Time for bed. Time to take a shower. Time to go to school. That's not a romantic relationship.
I like my dad. I love my dad.
I like my dad.
I don't want to marry my dad.
This is where the big sister comes in, because there's this lingering fear on Lauren's side that she won't be able to impress Dave's sister, and he does nothing to reassure her that actually you're going to be dating me, not my sister.
Yeah.
So what would I need to do to impress your sister?
When I got with my partner, I wasn't worried about impressing his family. I was worried about being the best version I can be and seeing if we were a good fit. You shouldn't force these things. It shouldn't be said, but it's season 8 of Love is Blind, and they're still doing the same thing. Also, I hate family members that are hostile for no reason. Like his sister is just gonna walk in and be like, you're not good enough for my brother. Okay, then you go suck your brother off in the parking lot while I bitch about you. Ooh. And we've arrived at incest. He also recycles conversations. One time he talks about tattoos with one and then goes into the other date and brings it up with the new girl just to make sure that he covers all bases with both of them.
I like an ass tat.
Yeah.
This is where it gets tricky, because in this season they kind of sort of silently agree to not talk about who they're dating on the other side, so they don't get like infighting between the guys and between the girls. So they're very secretive about who their number 1 and number 2 is. But Molly and Lauren do end up talking, and Molly just assumes that the other girl that Dave is seeing is Sarah. So she kind of brags in front of everyone, except for Sarah, that her and David are like really, really strong. They're going to go the distance. And Lauren doesn't want to say anything because it would make it awkward for them both to know that they're both his number 1. So it kind of, there's a lot of tension that grows on the women's side, whereas Dave is just living his best life, being an ass to everyone and yeah, having 2 women after him. Another time, he tells Lauren that she really changed his day for the better, and then goes into a date with Molly and tells her the exact same thing. There's always one in every season that just cannot decide, but he's not the only one in this one.
Growing up, my parents were never the same political party. I don't think I need to agree 100% on every single thing.
You probably should.
Just because we have different political views, we can't love each other?
I hate this argument that we can disagree and still be friends. We can disagree on, for example, pineapple on pizza. Some people say it's disgusting, other people can't get enough of it. But human rights and being decent to other people is not really a debate. Like, human rights aren't a debate. Maybe I'm being too much of a leftist, but yeah. He has another date with Molly, and they start talking about wedding rings, which might give her the false impression that you're planning on buying her a ring to propose to her. But he also tells her that he doesn't feel any pressure to end it with either of his 2 women that he's dating, because Molly's just being so really cool about it. And Molly's quite mature. She's like, yeah, I don't want to stop you from dating someone else. I want you to choose me because you genuinely want to choose me, not because I put some pressures on you or like you were running out of time and you had to make a decision. I want you to be fully aware of who you're choosing and why you're choosing. And that is very mature. However, Molly kind of gets the impression that he's going to dump Lauren because she thinks that he's talking about her when he says he's having such a great time in this experiment, when really he's talking about how much he's enjoying dating 2 women at the same time and not feeling any pressure to end it with one of them. So she goes back to the women's quarters and she's like, oof, I think he's gonna break up with his number 2 just now. And I feel so bad, but also, damn, I got my man. And at this point, she's realized that it may be Lauren, not Sarah, that he's dating, because Sarah said, no, it's not me. I'm not dating David. Ew, gross. And she feels bad. You know, she feels bad because she's been bragging in front of Lauren, even though she didn't know that it was her. And Lauren now kind of thinks that Molly's doing it on purpose. Like, what is she trying to get to me? Is she trying to undermine my connection with Dave? It's a lot of miscommunication happening. So Lauren goes into the date and tells Dave that Molly was really comfortable telling everyone, hey, I'm his number 1, and he is gonna make me the only woman he's dating. So number 2, your time is up. And Dave's like, whoa, I never told her she was my number 1. I wouldn't, because I'm still dating you, and I'm still very much torn about which of these ladies I'm gonna decide on marrying.
This is what I didn't want to happen, is like get caught up in like the girl drama.
Like, this is just some silly petty little argument between 12-year-old girls when it's literally about the man they're wanting to marry. It's not exactly girl drama. It's also not just drama when you're the center of it, the cause of it. And though he doesn't necessarily tell Molly that she's his number 1, I can kind of understand how in that really toxic environment that is Love is Blind, you would come out of the pods with that impression and then just feel so giddy about it that you can't help but tell everybody. So this is a messy love triangle. He reaffirms his feelings for Lauren, and Lauren's like, okay, who is more Delulu here? Is it me, or is it Molly, or is he playing both of us? But it's in this date that he has like a sudden rush of emotions, and he's like, whoa, it's just hitting me right now. I'm realizing in this moment as we're talking, Lauren, who I have more feelings for, and I have to remove myself from this date and go think about it. So he leaves abruptly, and Lauren goes back to the women's quarter. She's like, well, that was strange, but he didn't break up with me, so I guess Molly was wrong. And Molly sees Lauren coming back all happy, and she's like, whoa, that's different. So Molly and Dave have another date, and Molly reassures him that if he's having doubts, she's good either way. She wants him to choose her because he wants her. So if he ends up not choosing her, it's because it was meant to be. He was meant to be with someone else. Dave even fake cries. And ultimately, finally, he makes a decision and breaks things off with Molly because he just needs to see things through with Lauren. And Molly comes out the date, sees Lauren, decides to talk to her, and has a full emotional breakdown, apologizes profusely for making those comments in front of her. She had no idea that it was Lauren he was dating. She thought it was Sarah. And I thought it was kind of funny that Molly's just crying her eyes out, and Lauren just looks so happy because she knows that after this, she got the man. So Lauren asks Dave if there were promises made. Lauren even tries to play devil's advocate, all while Dave really tries to scratch an itch subtly. And then the conversation comes back to his sister like she's a monster.
Part of what's freaking me out too is my sister. I don't want her to freak out.
You know what? I bet he's mentioning her again because he needs an excuse to break up with Lauren should anything go wrong in the future. Like, if he decides not to marry her, but he doesn't want to be a prick about it, he has the excuse of, it's actually my sister. She's just very demanding. She doesn't think you're good enough for me, and I can't marry you without her. They end the date well, though, all giddy, and then they have another date, and he proposes to her. She says yes, they meet, and yeah, all I could think about was, is that a comb over? Also, look at his lips. Was it his older sister that forced him to hydrate his lips like that? That is bombed down. Those lips are ready to slobber on some dick. But yeah, Lauren and David get engaged. Next up, and probably the messiest thing this season has, is a love square. We got Alex. Alex is a reformed, ugly Chad. Madison is an emotional, cool girl. She's mature. And, very important detail, she was in Bible Quiz, which is the one where kids memorize parts of the Bible, and then they go on competitions to see who has the best memory, and apparently she was like really good, the champion in her state.
Both riches and honor come Madison.
1 Thessalonians 4 verses 13 through 18.
Then we have Mason. Mason is your undecided Chad. He's always been broken up with. The women always end up falling in love with someone else other than him, which should be kind of a hint so how he's like. And he's very adamant that he wants to feel emotions to their fullest, especially the negative ones. He strikes me as that type of guy that whenever he's sad, he puts on his sad playlist and then just cries himself to sleep, feeling sorry for himself, which, hey, if you've never done that, congratulations. You probably go to therapy. And then we got Meg. Meg is sort of a hippie, like nonchalant, very chill gal who listens to Joe Rogan and believes in conspiracy theories. Like, who built the pyramids? Right? Asking the important questions on this show.
When I was younger, I was actually extremely unattractive.
Listen, not to rain on someone's parade, but
now that I have more attention physically from women, it's irrelevant, right?
The confidence to come on the show and be like, I used to be ugly, but now I get women as much as I want, so it doesn't even matter anymore. Him and Madison have a trauma showdown. She lost people, but he was bullied and kicked out of his house, but hey, she was bullied as well. Then Mason and Meg talk.
I don't smoke, but I have high thoughts a lot, like sober high thoughts.
I was waiting for the most illuminating shit, like real deep thoughts that make you reevaluate life. And instead, she goes on a rant about Joe Rogan and his podcast.
I hope you can follow this, but like I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast once.
And they spoke about ant houses and how they're so intricate. And then they go off to energies and how if you do something with your energy, you can control the weather. And then she closes with, hey, my parents think I'm going to hell, and I probably am. I feel bad for going to hell because of what that makes my parents feel. They have the same favorite movie, Inception. They both love Christopher Nolan, and he is weirdly into the movie Her, you know, where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with the voice of Scarlett Johansson. And he's in love with that. He's like, I'm gonna live her in real life and be him. So Meg and Mason talk about conspiracy theories. Who built the pyramids? Are there aliens out there? There's so much in the world we don't know. And Alex and Madison have both been cheated on. They talk about attachment styles, and she says she's an avoidant, and he is an anxious. So she tends to avoid things if she feels they're not going to work out, and Alex tends to need a lot of reassurance that he's a pretty boy. So at this point, Madison is realizing that in real life, she would have probably run away from Alex. And even though she should do the same in the pods, she wants to give this another go. She's like, I am going to change my behaviors. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to push through my past negative behaviors, and I'm going to keep talking to him. She kind of shifts more towards Alex. Meg, on the other hand, is full on Mason. She's like, Mason is my guy. He's the only person I'm talking to. So now we have Mason talking to Meg and Madison, and we have Madison talking to Alex and Mason. But Madison wants Alex. Meg wants Mason. And Mason has no idea what he wants. So much so that when Madison asks him where he's at, if he's made any decisions about the two girls he's seeing, he's like, you know what? I am really feeling it with you, Madison. I feel like we have this chemistry that I don't have with anyone else in the house. But Madison starts seeing Meg coming out of her dates with Mason super happy, and she's like, wow, I mean, he's saying all of these things to me, reassuring me, and Meg is also so happy. I know she's only dating him, so he's either saying the same thing to both of us, or he really likes us completely equally, which to me is a bit meh. Because the more I see Meg happy, the less I want him, which is completely fair. At the same time, Meg is realizing that Mason never gives her assurances. She's like, oh, I miss you, and he never says I miss you back. Rude. So it all comes down to a halt when Madison and Mason talk. And Madison is like, hey, if you have a connection with someone else, you need to tell me. You know, if you're leaning more towards one or the other, I want you to be honest. And he's like, well, I don't want to hurt you. I feel like I really like you. You really you bring out an energy that no one else does. We get along so well. And she's like, okay, I get that. But like, hey, if you're still deciding, just know that it's totally fine that you don't choose me. So she's giving him chance after chance to be honest with her and to open up about his feelings. And he's very reassuring in his words, but his tone, he is on holiday. He is out the room. He has no interest whatsoever.
I have a really strong connection with you, and I don't want to ruin that.
And she's very confused because it's not sounding clear what he's trying to say. And she asked him if he feels like she gave him an ultimatum and is feeling pressure to reaffirm her. And he's like, no, this is truly how I feel. So she thanks him for affirming her, which is always a good sign. It's like, thank you for telling me how much you like me. It's so nice to hear. He doesn't get the hint. And when he tells her the fragrance that he wears, Dior Sauvage, she point blank tells him.
Every narcissistic man wears Dior Sauvage.
She's like, hey, if you want to break up with me, go for it. Please break up with me because I can't stand you. And if you haven't done it already, your fragrance is meant for narcissists. So you like that? You're a narcissist. I hate you. And he's like, I just lose my breath every time you ask me questions. I'm like, you are...
I just collapse when you ask me questions.
I just think Mason is so fascinating because he's sitting there dating her. He really thinks he's eating all these words and all these declarations of love when she's already halfway out the door. Mason then goes on a date with Meg and tells her exactly the same things, that he's never felt this way about anyone. She's the only one that makes him feel this way, and they're just so alike and meant to be. So Madison has had enough of this, and she decides Alex is my person, because when Alex talks to her, he sounds genuine, and when Mason talks to her, he sounds evasive and kind of undecided. So she fully commits to Alex. She's like, you're the only one I'm dating. And he is elated.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does ask her to be his girlfriend, so now she has a boyfriend, which means that Madison has to break up with Mason. Meg hears Madison say that she has a boyfriend, and now she knows that Madison's gonna have to break up with Mason. And Meg now thinks that he's gonna just choose her by default, because as soon as Madison, his other number one, breaks up with him, he's gonna be like, well, I only have one left. Meg, you're it. But on the other side, Mason is so happy for Alex, because he has no idea that his number one, Madison, has just gotten into a relationship with Alex, his good pal. So then Mason talks to Alex and he congratulates him, and Alex is so awkward because he knows that Madison is going to break up with him and is going to break his heart. And this is the type of drama that I would expect from a soap opera. From an unscripted reality TV show, they are putting in the work to give us the love triangles, the love squares, the betrayals, the fake love declarations, the real love declarations that come a little bit too late, and the not knowing. And it's really weird how much I'm committed to this love square. So now Mason has 2 dates. First with Madison and then with Meg. Now, it'd be great if it was the other way around and he chose Meg first and then broke up with Madison. But unfortunately, he's going to get broken up with before he has the chance to choose Meg. Ugh. So Madison talks to him and starts like letting him down easy. Like, you know what? I've just been thinking about it and I have this other connection and I feel like we got to the point we needed to get faster than you and I. I don't think you're my person. I'm sorry, but this is the end of our story. And he says he probably added unnecessary pressure for her to make a decision when he fully declared his love for her. And now thinking back to it, he didn't mean it. It was an unfair thing to do to both people that he's dating, to tell one of them, hey, I want to marry you, not the other one. Then like, actually, I didn't mean it. Sorry. That's crazy. Who was I yesterday? You know, I was a different human being. She's like, well, I spoke to Meg, and from my understanding, you tried to keep 2 sweet things going at once, and now you may lose both of them. Foreshadowing is powerful in this one. She's not even faulting him, by the way. She's just saying, hey, you were not as decisive as I'd like you to be, and therefore we're not going to stay together, which is fine. You know, it's actually kind of respectful the way she breaks up with him, but he took it relatively well. You know, he didn't really seem invested in either of them, to be fair, at least not his face. But Madison and Meg speak outside, and Madison is very honest. She's like, hey, I told him that we weren't a match, and then he kind of tried to take back his love declaration, which was kind of weird. Mason goes back to his quarters. He doesn't seem heartbroken at all, but Alex rushes to console him because he's a guy's guy. And this is when Mason tries to do like these mind games, on purpose or not. He's like, well, I know they're talking on the other side, and I think Madison spoke to my other number 1 and it kind of ruined things for me. So now he's calling Madison, the one he declared his undying love for, his number 2, and making Alex think that on the other side they're conspiring against men, especially Mason. They're conspiring to end all of his chances at finding true love. So Mason has another date with Meg. Meg goes into it understanding his situation, that he was torn between 2 women, and she's just really bummed that she now has no way of knowing whether Mason would have ended up picking her over Madison or whether this is just how things ended up turning out. And unfortunately, she can't move forward like this because to her, he was always her number 1, and knowing that she now just may be the leftovers, she can't do it. So she breaks up with him. But it gets even worse because later, Madison and Alex have a date. And remember how Mason was speaking in Alex's ear, whispering like they're talking on the other side. They're conspiring against us. So Madison and Alex have the weirdest date that I think I've ever seen on the show. It starts off super cute. They both get each other presents and they both talk about like meeting each other's families and planning to paint together in the future. Very cute. We're planning a future together. Right? We intend to meet each other and marry. Then they start talking about deep stuff, and Alex brings out her attachment style avoidance, because men will find something to nitpick on when they need an excuse to break up with you. Alex starts talking about how his dates with Madison are the favorite part of his day, and how he just looks forward to spending time with her. And then they slowly talk about Mason and how that went. Madison tells him that she broke up with him, and then he was like, well, actually, I didn't mean what I said the day before. She explains how Mason's words and actions have led both women to believe that he was into neither of them, and he was simply playing along as long as possible until eventually one of them went off on her way. And Alex, like any Chad would, goes on a campaign to defend Mason.
Just like I understand his perspective, and like imagine if there were 2 me's.
And even after Madison vocalizes how she doesn't want Alex to be defending him right now, she maybe is looking for a little bit more understanding from her future partner. He's doing a lot of mental gymnastics to defend Mason and kind of put the blame on Madison for breaking up with him. Like, you know what? You broke up with him, but that didn't mean that you had to ruin the chances he had with the other woman. She's like, well, he's the one who ruined it by never telling her that he loved her. And he's like, well, I just think it's a tough situation. I'm just a really understanding guy. He's more worried about defending his bestie than he is defending his girlfriend, both of whom he's met a week before. He's known both of them for the same amount of time. Hashtag not all men Chad. And instead of breaking up with him, she just like stays and tells him that she's gonna try her best in the future to be as communicative as she can, because now Alex is harping on the miscommunication and her avoidance attachment style. And I was like, Madison needs to break up with him, like, right now, right? Like, girl, run. Just break up with him, walk out the pods, and go home. Live your best life. But she doesn't. She stays, and he starts talking about how he envisions a future with her, how he pictures being married to her and having kids with her, and how he just doesn't want a marriage where there's miscommunication. Therefore, they're not ready to get married. And he breaks up with her. So frustrating that he's the one who got the satisfaction of ending things with her when she's the one who should have just dumped his ass the moment he started talking. I used to be ugly, but now I get all the women. You look like a 14-year-old boy with a beard. Shut up. But hey, at least they broke up for now. I think that Madison and Alex and Meg and Mason are going to meet up outside, and those two couples are going to come together. Or maybe it's going to be Mason and Madison. Who knows? And then we have arguably the most, whoa, that came out of nowhere storyline, which is Daniel, the short king, representing all shorty shorts out there, and Taylor. Taylor is desperate for a husband. She is very eager to marry, and Daniel is very eager to find his connection. And from episode 1, they start dating each other. They never date anyone else. Their story is actually quite boring because everything they say just somehow matches up. Like, there's so many coincidences. They like doing the same things. They have the same values. They have the same interests. Almost like someone planned this. Someone prepared for this. Someone did research into who the other person is just so they could say the right things all the time.
Makes me so happy that you feel as strongly as you do about me to come find me.
That's foreshadowing. Not only do we have soap opera level romantic trysts and connections and betrayals, we also have subtle foreshadowing throughout 6 episodes.
Because I've been waiting for you to find me.
I love it. It's almost like it's scripted. They are going above and beyond to just give us drama. No love. Love is not blind. People are just awful. People are awful. And they declare their love for each other several times, and then he proposes and she accepts, and they start playing I'm Yours by Jason Mraz, and I'm like, wow, this is giving me all the feels. Taking me back to 2008. It was a good time. No, it wasn't. And when they meet, it's definitely awkward. You can tell that Taylor is slightly apprehensive. Turns out, Taylor recognized him when the doors opened. She tells us that there was this account that started following her a few weeks before she got on Love is Blind, and this account only had like one picture, and it was this guy in front of a Christmas tree with his leg crossed or something, and she never followed him back, but it kind of stuck in her mind, that picture. So when the doors opened and she saw Daniel, she was like, oh, fuck, that's the man of the photo. That's the person that followed me on my account. And if it is indeed him, everything I like doing, my interests, my hobbies, everything that's important to me is on my profile. The fact that I love Taco Bell, the fact that family is really important to me, like all the kind of stuff that they connected on. Because the entire time they were going on about there's so many coincidences between them two, what they like, what they don't like. And sure, it could actually be coincidences, but I don't think she's breaking up with him because he's a short king.
You know, any excuse to not wear high heels.
But episode 6 ends with them actually meeting up and her being like, hey, did you follow my account? Did you know what I looked like when we were in the pods? Are you the person in this specific picture that I remember an account following me with? And he kind of denies having that picture, and there's no real resolution by the end of the episode because that will be saved for later episodes in the next on Love is Blind. So there you have it. That's what Minnesota has to offer. Minnesota. That was a terrible Minnesota accent. I can't do it. And thank you for still being on that side. If you haven't left already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe so you can see more content like this. I'm going to cover the rest of the season when it comes out. And send this to a friend. Be like, hey, do you want to laugh at people dating on TV? Then check out StutterBox. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid. And stay stuttering. Bye, guys. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. That was terrible. That was fucking terrible.